Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
Okay, welcome back. This is Mike Alexander with prodigal co-host Jonathan Wilson.
I'm back.
He's back.
I don't know if my microphone.
I don't think his microphone is working. If you happen to check out his mic in there, but in any event, we'll get him online here in just a minute. We're delighted to have you here this evening for our pre-Christmas show. So first of all, I want to lead off by wishing all of you out there a Merry Christmas and of course a Happy New Year. Talking about next week, I think if you're going to be around, I'm going to be around because it's a great time to reflect on the year past and the year coming up. It's going to be a very, very tumultuous year in the coming year.
You think?
Yeah, I'm still not sure that Jonathan's mic is working there. So, I'll just continue till we get you fixed here. But we'd love to have you join the show tonight. It's all talk, all commentary. We had a wonderful interview with Andrew Roberts last week. It was pre-recorded. We played that in the second half hour. But tonight, from 8 to 9:30, we're going to be with each other. And, of course, everybody wonders whether there's an audience out there on the Sunday night before Christmas. I mean, tomorrow's Christmas Eve. We don't know, but I sure hope you'll join me. It's a good time to get in and have a conversation. Our telephone number here is 866-870-5752 or 866-870-KRLA. AM 870, the answer here, so we'd love to hear it. You want to give us a microphone test, Jonathan?
Check. No microphone.
No mic yet. So, you got to move. Okay, bad mic. Yeah, I've had that said to me, all right. But in any event, give that one. Just tap.
Check. There you go.
Hey, there you are. Okay, great. Hey, let's go back to the beginning. So you were off last week. It's good to have you back.
I have to come clean, Mike. I went to a Christmas party on Saturday night, and I had a little too much fun.
Well, that's an excuse an Irishman can accept. Well, I'll tell you what. At least you made it home all right. And I haven't been to much of a Christmas party.
Well, you know what it was? It was Patriotic Singles. It's a group that Catherine in Pasadena.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So big shout out to Catherine, and thank you for putting that group together. It was pretty rowdy. And lots of good food.
Bodies all over the place the following morning. People didn't make it home. Well, I'm glad you had fun. We had a good program here last week. It's good to have you back. And we're going to be doing a lot in the coming year that we're going to talk about here tonight. And, we also have, we want to emphasize here that, that tonight is the voice of choice. As well, the voice of choice and freedom in education. We're going to have a big event coming up, which will be the launch of a school choice initiative. We haven't quite named the initiative yet, but basically it's going to permit you, the parents out there, to choose an education for the child. That organizational event is going to be on Saturday, February 2nd, 2018 in Old Town Pasadena. It's going to be, we haven't put the announcement up on our website yet. There's lots coming together, but I can tell you now, mark it on your calendar. It'll be at the Romanesque Room at 50 East Green Street in Old Town, right across the street from the old schoolhouse parking facility. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I can promise you that. and you can find out how you can get involved in this. And if you want to be on our notices here, if you want to get involved in volunteering for gathering signatures and spreading this word and creating our network, you can contact us by sending an email to hq@CaliforniaTaxpayersUnion.org. Again, HQ as in headquarters at CaliforniaTaxpayersUnion.org. You can also just call our office at 626-792-1772 and leaving a message, and we'll make sure that you're on our list.
By the way, we moved into our new offices a couple weeks ago.
Oh, you did?
And you haven't been by to visit yet, Mike.
I know. You guys have been visiting me.
Well, we moved into a smaller space. But it's nice and cozy, so any members out there, please drop by and say hello and see our new office.
Yeah, it's a little bit more compact, and of course, once school choice initiative gets rolling, it's going to be something else. Well, we already have somebody who's calling in, a mystery caller on one, claims to be a good friend. Let's hope it's not an IRS auditor. Hello on line one. To whom do I have the privilege of speaking?
Michael, this is an old friend. A smile's going to get on your face in a second. This is Rabbi Schifrin.
Oh, how are you? Haven't talked with you in a long time.
Oh, Michael, I tune into your show. I listen to you, and I remember, just so that your audience knows who you are, I was running for California State Senate.
Right.
And you were one of the few people that would say, come in, we'll give you a half an hour, shoot it to us, let us know what you're going to do, why we should vote for you. And there was, of course, a great exchange of ideas, and you were very kind and very gracious. And, Michael, I will never forget you. You are a patriot, and I'm not saying that lightly. You are a patriot among patriots, and you're somebody who's a real mensch. You know what a mensch is, Michael?
I do, yes.
You're a man, a real good guy. You've got a good heart. You're a patriot. You care about this country, and you're doing something. There's so many people that could do something, and you're one of those people that decided to do something. And I honor you, and I salute you, sir, and you're a good friend. And I just love listening to your program. And your sense of humor is right up my alley, Michael.
Well, we have fun. Hey, by the way, I want to come back to your very generous comments in a moment, but talk about sense of humor. The funniest story of the week here goes to the University of Maine Republican young Republicans. They had
I didn't hear this.
Well, they had to issue a policy because they decided to have a Christmas party for the young Republicans, and they called it "Deck the Wall" with boughs of holly.
That is hilarious,
right? So the administrators, got tight, shall we say, knickers over the whole thing. Does anybody have any fun anymore? We're filtering everything through it. You come to Christmas, you can't say Merry Christmas. I don't know who makes these rules, not me. You can't wish anybody a Happy Hanukkah. Religion is put to the door. And
Michael, are you there?
Yes, sir.
I want to bring this point up, and I'll let you go on with your program.
Yes, sir.
You know that I was a teacher for over 20 years in LUSD. And we talked about this extensively, and you know my philosophy. I just want to tell you, the crisis that we face, while you and your friends and I are concerned with the wall, while we work 2-3 jobs to put food on the table, unbeknownst to us in our schools, there is a radical cabal of progressives that is literally destroying the minds of our students. And
yes.
This is not hyperbole, Michael. A lot of people know it. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Right.
I am failing. I retired, Michael, from LUSD about 5 years ago, and then I decided to come back into the classroom. I felt that I needed to be be a mentor to students that need to know what reality is, as it were. So here I am. I'm back in the classroom. I'm failing 80% of my students.
Mm-hmm.
The principal comes up to me and says, "Rabbi, what are we going to do here?" I said,
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do anything other than text and message each other in the class. It's a plague, Michael.
Right.
It is gonna destroy this country. And I'll tell you something else. I instituted the Pledge of Allegiance. Our school got a lawsuit.
Really?
Yeah, my principal said, "Rabbi, I'm sorry, you're going to have to stop with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
We're going to get sued."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "What?" And Michael, it is absolutely imperative that parents get involved with the PTA. They go to these innocuous meetings at school, and they take part in what's going on with the education of their youth.
Well,
I can't stress it.
Before you leave us here, Rabbi, I think if you've been listening, you know how dedicated we are to the issue of educational freedom via school choice, and it is our intention to qualify a school choice initiative for the November 2020 California general election. It'll be first Tuesday in November, and I'm hoping that you will be part of it. And we are having an organizational meeting, what we are kind of grandly referring to as a school choice summit, is going to be on the first Saturday in February. It'll be in the same room where we were fortunate enough to have you speak a few times, right there in old Pasadena.
I will be there.
Fantastic.
I will be there, Michael, because I absolutely believe you don't get a president like Obama unless the people are absolutely brainwashed and know nothing about their history. And
That's
I
right.
say that absolutely with sincerity. And we're going to pay the price. And I thank God for people like you and your wonderful colleagues, and you're making a difference. Michael, it's said that if there's a few dedicated people, even a few dedicated people can change the world. You're one of them, and sir, I salute you. I'm so glad to count you as one of my friends.
Well,
and Michael, I will see you there in Pasadena.
As the Mexicans say, igualmente, amigo. And
Take care, Michael. God bless you.
Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas.
I will, sir. Thank you very much, and see you on the first Saturday in February.
You bet. Take care now.
That was Rabbi Schifrin, who is himself a mensch and who has run for offices several times for the simple reason that somebody's got to run for these offices and present an alternative vision. And I'm so glad. I had no idea he was calling in, but I'm so glad that he did, because he raised 2 or 3 important issues that we intend to highlight here tonight. And first of all, of course, is the crisis in the classroom, where no real education is taking place, just indoctrination. Now, in case you think that is just Mike going nuts, well, then I'm going to offer you a little backup for that. There was an article that came out here just in the last couple of days, and California is now the least educated state in the union. It's number 1 in percentage of residents 25 and older who never finished 9th grade, and it's number 50 in high school graduates, right?
Wow.
So in other words, we have more people over the age of 25 who never got past 9th grade. Now, who are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about a lot of high school dropouts, and of course, we're talking about a lot of people from other countries here who, God knows, where they went to school or how in the world we would document it if they did. So this is what a third world state looks like. We have first world technology. We have the sixth largest economy in the world, the largest economy of the 50 states, and yet within ourselves we have created this large subclass, this eroding mass of people that is consuming larger and larger amounts of public finance, increasing taxes, increasing regulation, and forcing the middle class out. So now we're starting to have a Rome-like division, or a revolutionary France-type division of elites, privileged elites at the very top, and then very poor and disenfranchised people at the bottom. This cannot endure, and the schools are a key factor in that. They're a key factor in producing this unhappy situation, and of course, education, this institution that all of us have come to know as the school. This institution is the key to remedying the situation. We have no remedy here. These people are absolutely insane, and if we look at the 10 cities, the 10 states who have the highest levels of persons never finished ninth grade, they are no surprise: California, New York, New Mexico, Kentucky. There's your state.
State of my birth.
Yeah, and Nevada, Arizona, Mississippi, Rhode Island, Louisiana. And there are sometimes historical reasons for that. But here in California, by the way, which state do you think it is that had the fewest number of smallest percentage of residents 25 and older who never finished ninth grade? In other words,
South Carolina.
No, Wyoming.
Wyoming, okay.
Yeah. So, all those mountain goats and people live in that wonderful state up there. They manage, even in a very rural society up there, a very rural state, they manage, to get most of their kids through at least ninth grade, for God's sakes. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about the rest of them, but we are just outrageous. And yet here, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following the show, and we'll get this up on the website here soon in a special edition of the Taxpayer Gazette, we will talk about these numbers here. But here in the state of California, we have record tax revenues, and because we have record tax revenues, the schools who get 40 to 45% of that money have had record revenues as well, so much so that in fiscal year 2018 to 19, the median the average per pupil expenditure in the state budget will be $16,085. I'll bet you didn't know that.
I did not.
I'll bet you most people don't know that. In other words, if you're going to not a super elite private school, but if you're going to one of the the better Catholic or private schools or Episcopal schools here in Southern California at the high school level, you're probably paying $15,000 to $20,000 to go to institutions that are justifiably regarded as elite at places of education, where their students go on to the finest institutions in the country. So, in other words, we're already paying for basically elite prep school education, but look at what we're getting. And that's per kid. In other words, that's $16,000. We're paying that for the kindergarten kid, paying it for the first grader, the eighth grader, the ninth grader, and the 12th grader. In high schools, usually more expensive. It doesn't cost that much. Now, with that in mind, I just heard Jonathan say, "Hey, Mike, did you hear about the teacher strike?"
Well, that's what I was just getting ready to
great minds or even small minds thinking alike.
I was just reading about it. I guess they're going to start their strike on January 10th.
There we are.
And their big gripe is the explosive growth of charter schools.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So now explain to me, in the audience, if anybody doesn't know, exactly how charter schools work.
Well, I think that there are many varieties of charter schools throughout the country, many different statutes that authorize them. And here in California, I will admit to being less than an expert, but basically a charter school is a school that is chartered, that is authorized by the school district, but is not part of the regular school system. They are able to stand alone. They have different management. They have they're somewhat proprietary in that they're organized by a group of individuals who are not public employees.
It says, I'm looking it up here, publicly funded but privately managed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, of course, lots of people get really warm and fuzzy and excited when they hear those words, privately managed. But as a matter of fact, those charter schools are highly regulated, but the key difference is not private management. The key difference, folks, listen up, pull out your notebooks, get ready to scratch it down, is that membership in the unions is not mandatory. And very few of those charter schools have organized. In fact, I don't know of any charter school in Southern California where the teachers have actually joined the union. So the teachers there, as well as management, are anxious to escape the evil public employee unions, not only the teachers, but everybody else there that joins this, that, the SEIU, and so forth. And so now these guys here, to no one's great surprise, these clowns, bear in mind now, we just told you what their performance is. These clowns could not possibly produce worse results.
Yeah.
No se puede. Right there at the bottom.
And now they're complaining that there's competition in the marketplace.
All right, competition in the marketplace.
And so now
Go figure.
This clown, the president of the United Teachers of Los Angeles, the union, is now saying that the state needs to get involved and shut these charter schools down.
Shut them down.
Regulate them.
Regulate them.
Because our enrollment's going down.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, their enrollment's going down. And then, what I read, what these guys are looking for here, and I'm reading from an article by Diana Lambert. EdSource is the name of the website, 12/21/18. So Diana reports, quote, thousands of Los Angeles Unified teachers, let's put quotes around that, teachers, and their supporters, decked out in red, marched through Los Angeles on December 15th, demanding a 6% pay increase, smaller classes, fewer tests for students, and more nurses, librarians, and counselors, among other things. The union has voted to go on strike on January 10th.
Yeah.
That's what Diana reports. In other words,
go on strike and don't come back to work.
Reward us for being the worst performers in the United States, and in return for all of that incredible work that we did, we want more pay and less work. Believe it or not. And of course we do. Because, folks, and now's the time to get oriented, remember what all this is about. It is what we got. 1 minute here. All right. When we come back, we're gonna talk about how these unions operate, the real game, and the role that the public employee unions are playing at the national level and the local level, and why we have a constitutional crisis that goes right along with the crisis in education. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, back with you after the break here at the bottom of the hour.
Do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
All right, here we are, Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. Join us, please, at 866-870-5752. The lines are wide open.
Let us know.
Yeah, I think we're dead again. Use the other mic.
Yeah. Anyway, call us. Let us know if you're listening. We want to know if there's anybody out there listening to us tonight.
Yeah, we were just joking that our Jewish friends are calling us tonight because everybody else is out being run around town by their wives doing shopping for Christmas.
Today is actually a holiday. Do you know what holiday it is?
No.
It's Festivus.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Many other religions, it's Festivus for the rest of us.
Oh, yeah?
It's the day of airing your grievances.
Oh, yeah?
It's a Seinfeld holiday.
Yeah. A Seinfeld. Well, by golly, I can get behind that one.
So give us a call on this Festivus evening and let us know what your grievances are. Oh,
we got plenty. And I'm going to pick up on another theme that Rabbi Schifrin raised early on, talking about our crisis. And I mentioned this very early on in the show. I want to talk about the ongoing constitutional crisis that we have in our country. And it starts someplace that's a little bit different than the Supreme Court or whatever. But the first, let's examine first what a constitution is. A constitution is usually a written document which expresses our agreement as citizens about the form of government we have, how it is to operate, but more fundamentally, what our rights are and what our relationship is with each other and our relationship to the state, that is, to the government itself. I use state in the broadest sense of being a government. But that written agreement must be preceded by actual agreement among the citizenry. Now, there can be no doubt that in the latter part of the 18th century, when we adopted our Constitution, that at that point we had some kind of consensus among most Americans as to who we were, what our relationships were. Flawed as some of those things might have been. Slavery comes to mind. We had this problem. But as we come into the 20th century, it's not just the different perception of the Supreme Court or of Congress or of government about a relationship. It's the people themselves who have changed their ideas about who we are, what our relationships are with the state, our relationship to each other. And that campaign against the idea of America, that systematic attempt to undermine that shared understanding, which must precede any written constitution, is being carried out systematic in the public so-called school, so-called system.
Well, Mike, maybe they just don't quite understand America. Do you really think they're doing it intentionally?
I do indeed. There can be no doubt.
My tongue was firmly planted
in cheek. Yes, of course they're doing it. And one of the reasons that we know they're doing it on purpose is because they bring people into the United States by the millions and make no attempt to teach them about what the United States is, make no attempt to engender in them a deep appreciation for the American people and what we have done in allowing them to be here, and they move beyond that to question the entire premise of America, excoriate the founders, and rebuke you and me. There's a systematic attack on the Judeo-Christian.
Well, they say we're all racists. I don't know where you go in the argument after you've been called a racist.
Exactly. Yeah. And in fact, the allegation of racism is the kind of allegation that is designed to shut down debate right then and there. And usually the response is when you are treated to that kind of abuse, you usually mistakenly start defending yourself. Well, I'm not a racist because whatever. Your best friends are black or Latino or Asian. You said about trying to prove your good faith and your lack of bias, when in fact you have no such obligation. They're the ones that have an obligation to prove the truth of the charge. But they engage in it. It has simply been the most profitable political strategy of the last 100 years, second only to motherhood and apple pie and the American flag. The allegation of racism has produced more political capital and profit than anything else in history, even national defense. Look how Donald Trump struggles to articulate the idea of national security in the face of an obvious invasion, in the face of an obvious plan to bring down the United States. He is struggling mightily to get this wall built. And what's on the other side? Oh, we can't build this wall because what? Well, because why? Why exactly is it?
Because that would be racist.
There you go. There you go. So
it's such an intellectually weak argument that they're making.
It is.
I mean, it's a shame.
It is. Well, let me take a break from there. Dave from Orange County, a frequent caller, would like to air a grievance that he has, and hopefully it's not with me.
Oh, no way, Mike. No way.
How are you, Dave?
I'm good. Merry Christmas to you and your co-host.
Hey, and
Merry
back
Christmas.
to you.
Yes, thank you. My grievance is deserving against this person is deserving of a recall, and I aim to do this. It is Mr. Villanueva, the new LA County Sheriff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, his antics are just completely over the top, and he actually has been actually speaking egregious falsehoods about his intentions. I don't want to take up too much time, Mike, but I just want to make a few points about him. This guy claims that he's not doing this for political reasons, but he absolutely made it his stated goal to get ICE out of the jails and to physically remove them. And then just recently, you know what he's done? This is nuts. He ordered all of his deputies and staff to remove their rank bars. Get that, Mike?
What?
It's totally nuts. I heard this on another radio station. This guy has completely gone over the rails, and this talk show host actually said also that he put his own command rank in a circle on his uniform. It's just, guy has gone totally bonkers, and we have to do a recall on this guy.
Well, a circle. Oh, so this, where did he put this circle? Where was it? On his collar? On his shoulder patch or what?
I don't know, but you know what? Maybe he should put them on his eyeballs.
Yeah.
But, you know what, Mike? I don't know. I've got to do some research into that, but I would really I'm going to create a Facebook, Recall LA County Sheriff Villanueva. Folks, look for it.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to push for this.
I really don't know much about that, but the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is one of the largest law enforcement organizations in the United States. It sets the standard in a lot of areas. I know it's had its problems with scandals, particularly at the jails. Those have been perennial scandals. But beyond that, it's a very aggressive, solid law enforcement organization that patrols throughout Los Angeles. It has one of the leading homicide detective divisions in the United States. They're solid. Same way with LAPD.
Yes. Mike, what this guy is doing is violating federal law. He's interfering with federal law, and this guy needs to be removed.
Right. Well, I tell you, I have no doubt about it. About his need to go, and I have no idea how it is that he got elected. But yeah, he is one of many people who engage in this. And what strikes me most about this is that he is a man who is in charge of law enforcement, and obviously that's your point. But this is the same guy who enforces traffic laws. He enforces in some cities. They don't do a lot of it, but in some areas, you have L.A. Sheriff parking enforcement. They enforce codes. They enforce all kinds of things.
Yeah, he declared that he's going to reduce charges against illegal immigrants, and he's so politically driven to the hilt that he fired a huge number of these folks, and he's got to go. We've got to get rid of him by recall.
Well, here's what I suggest. And we conservatives and concerned citizens, we only have so much political capital, so much time, so much energy, and so much focus. I want to invite you and others to focus entirely over the next 2 years on qualifying a Freedom in Education initiative that will provide authentic school choice to everybody. This, I think, will do more to change minds and to free up political expression in this state and to educate the electorate. Because who would vote for?
Goal.
Yeah, who would vote for this guy, Dave? Who would vote for this clown with a 0? He calls it a circle. I'll just call it a 0 on his collar. Who would vote for him but a bunch of voters, arguably citizens, who had been systematically and intentionally dumbed down?
Hey,
that's what we're dealing
with.
with.
County Sheriff, what the sheriff's department down there said this week, that the violence in the Orange against deputies has increased dramatically, and it's because of AB 109, that dumb the dumb early release bill.
Yes. Well, crime is going up in so many areas. Now, you know what was interesting, Dave? I read an article earlier this week, and there wasn't much background associated with it, but apparently in San Diego, which is a border city, and they've got more illegals wandering through their jurisdiction than you can shake a stick at, and yet they had apparently a dramatically reduced murder rate in the city of San Diego. I found that remarkable. But overall, with early release, lowering charges, reducing. You remember, what was it? Daniel Moynihan, who talked about defining deviancy down.
Exactly.
Back in the 70s and 80s. Well, we have seen a deliberate effort here to redefine crime. If you have too much of it, or if your favored class of new immigrants are too closely connected with the commission of those crimes, we'll pretend that they don't exist. This is classic Soviet era, Nazi era propaganda, an attempt to lie to and deceive the citizens.
Yeah, and then L.A. Times, Mike, this week basically admitted that Prop 47 and AB 109 are causing an increase in crime. We've got to get rid of those two. We can by another proposition.
Yeah, and I mean, you just think about it here. Let's even take it from the perspective of the advocates and the special pleaders for illegal immigration. And for years, that illegal immigration has expressed itself with in growing density, and concentrations of citizens in the illegal immigrants in the inner cities, where they have historically been very vulnerable to crime. I mean, you just live in that neighborhood and you're suffering more crime. But the illegals have had additional problems. So you have all these people running around encouraging and demanding that you and I be very, very sensitive to their plight. They're coming here from war-torn countries, don't you know? They are victims of God knows what kind of crimes, ranging from denigration of their sexual orientation to spousal beating or whatever the ACLU's flavor of the week is, or La Raza, whatever lie they're peddling on paper. Gotcha. All right, so then you put them here, and then you dump more criminals on the street. You make it harder to arrest them. You make it harder to keep them in jails. How in the world does that work for your precious illegal immigrants in the inner city or anybody else?
Yeah, and then we have more people coming into California, criminals, because they know that these politicians, these left-wing radicals, have lowered the deterrence.
Right.
And I'd say that Republicans win on this issue of crime, and so we've got to get vocal, and we'll get the people on our side once we educate them. And I think that core issue that you're on with the education is great, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless. Merry Christmas. And Happy New Year. We'll talk to you soon. So I want to go back on this, talking about crime in the inner city. I remember back during the so-called King riots, poor old Rodney King got beaten up down there. They had the riots when they acquitted the officers the first time around, and the violence spread very quickly.
That was in 92?
92, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And of course, they rolled out the National Guard. They didn't have enough National Guard to go around. So they, under federal contract, they sent up some Marines from Camp Pendleton into South Compton and North Long Beach. And of course, the crime rate went to zero there. And the people in the neighborhood now, and supposedly there's this great tension between law enforcement and the people who live in the neighborhood. Well, all these folks, Latino, black folks, everybody who lived down there, they were tired of crime. They didn't want to see the Marines or the National Guard leave. Why can't they stay? Right? Yeah. Because the greatest victims of Latino crime are, of course, Latinos. The greatest victim of illegal crimes committed by illegal aliens are other illegal aliens. So it is a mistake for us ever to abandon our devotion to the rule of law, whether it's at the border or in the barrio. We just can't do this. That is profoundly un-American and does no good for anybody. It ill serves us all. And I don't know about this new sheriff. I've read some things about him and his changes. Apparently, he's threatening to kick ICE out of the jails. Why he would ever do that, I don't know. It's obviously politics, and so now we have a guy with a Latino last name who thinks that his path to political success in a state with a growing Latin population, or that is with Latin surnames, the way to do that is to pander to the worst part of the Latino community. And this is in a state where Latinos, mostly Mexicans, have been here in California, obviously, from the very beginning. They have an extraordinary combat record, very successful in business. They came here many years ago as immigrants. They've stayed. They've helped create a tremendous community. So this pandering to the worst of us, the worst of any community, is outrageous. and I think that that we should be fighting back against it. All right, got about 5 minutes to go here. Let's bring up Linda from Burbank, who wants to talk about the new sheriff. Linda, how are you this evening? Merry Christmas to you.
Same to you. I want to say that no matter what anybody thinks about Lee Baca, this new sheriff makes Lee Baca look like a choir boy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, this guy, he's a scofflaw. And we have no idea how it is that, that this guy got elected. Maybe there was a lot of vote harvesting going on up here in Los Angeles. Linda, all of these things are multidimensional. There are so many institutions that are under the control of radical far left Democrat politicians and tolerated by rhino Republicans. We are being ruled. We are no longer citizens, Linda. We are subjects. We go to even when we manage to vote for the right people, Linda, look what's going on there in Washington. I'm going to talk about it in the last half hour tonight.
Right now, Washington is nothing compared to California.
No, well, they've got things in common. The same people seem to run the House and the Senate, and go along with it. It's absolutely outrageous. And as I say, who is it that this kind of thing benefits? Please don't tell me it benefits the average law-abiding family of illegals in Los Angeles. Okay, let's just talk about them. We're supposed to let them in without question. We're supposed to let them go to school without question. We give them benefits and public welfare and all this kind of stuff. Well, all right, if we're concerned about them, how is it that not enforcing the criminal laws helps them? I don't get it. I don't get
either,
it.
But it wasn't just ballot harvesting. It was voter fraud.
Yes.
Having illegal aliens, allowing illegal aliens to vote, non-citizens to vote as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and of course, there's nobody who's engaged in organized pushback here. And contrary to what people think, I think that there are a lot of people, white, black, Latino, gringo, whatever you want to call us, whatever the favorite left-wing label is that applies to us, a lot of us are just basic citizens, and we're concerned about our state, concerned about our community, concerned about the future, and it's time the politicians who run for office have the courage to talk about these things, and the political organizations who claim to be in charge, it's high time that they organized and got these things done. For our part, we're going to work together on the issue of school choice and start with our most fundamental issue, which is educating future citizens, legal, illegal, whoever the hell they are. I don't know. I don't have control over that. But one thing that we can do is get them a decent education. Linda, I want to thank you for calling in and being part of our show during the past year. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. Have a nice, wonderful, happy, and holy Christmas. And I'll be on the air next Sunday night. Maybe you would be kind enough to call in then and wish me a happy new year. Thank you, Linda. All right, dear. Bye-bye. Okay, so we got all right. He's starting the music. Jeff is pushing me off of the air here. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff is in the control room as usual. We have the lovely Miss Brooke on the call screener. Be sure to call us in. We got another half hour tonight. Let's get that conversation going. Meanwhile, Jonathan Wilson and Mike Alexander back with you after the break at the top of the hour.
Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
Okay, back with you here, Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, and another shout-out here at Christmas time to Basil Hoffman for recording that wonderful introduction to our show. We've got to look up Basil, get him in here and see what he's doing. In fact, if you're out there listening tonight, Basil, call in. We'd love to hear from you.
By the way, we need to thank Basil. Do you know that he donated? He just moved to a different condo just down the street from where he lives, just not too far from here on Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
And while he was cleaning out his condo, he donated to the California Taxpayers Union his liquor.
Oh, my golly.
So it's in our office now.
He's not terminal or anything.
No, I know. I just don't think he drinks that much. So that's why it's another reason you need to come by my office, because I have a full bar now.
All right. So he thought of you when it came time to donate some booze. All right. Well, that's great. Well, thank you out there. We've been talking here about all of these issues. We want you to be part of the program here tonight. Let us know what you think about our direction for the coming year. You can reach us here at 866-870-5752. And we also want to remind you that this is citizen-sponsored radio.
That's right.
And where do they go here to give us some love?
CaliforniaTaxpayersUnion.org. And just click the Join Contribute button and contribute any amount. Any amount helps, large or small.
Yeah, at the end of the show, we're going to talk about a lot of different things, but of all the things that we're thankful for in the past year, there's nothing that we're more thankful for than the active participation and of our supporters, and especially their financial support, which helps to keep this program on the road and on the air. And we could use all the help that we can get, especially as we go into this major land battle with the teacher unions called school choice. Speaking of which, we have Brent on line 2 who is on, who would like to comment. Brent, are you there, my friend?
Yes, I am. Hi, Mike. Hi, John.
Hey, Brent.
It's good to hear from you.
Well, I heard at the beginning of the show that you were calling for Jews to call in.
Yeah, exactly right. I know. We were just saying, man, the only people listening tonight are the Jews, because everybody else is out Christmas shopping and rapping and so forth. So we got Rabbi Schifrin called in. Now we got you. So the night's perfect.
and I just wanted to comment on the rabbi. Yeah. I was so proud and happy to hear him call in and just demonstrate his courage to speak in a political arena that so many theologians are fearful to tread in.
Yes.
And it has to, may he encourage other rabbis and other priests and ministers of all faiths to call in.
Yeah, I hope so. We have a shared concern, and that's called our youth, their education, and the future of America. And that's where the real battle is being fought. It's not in the synagogues or in the churches, if we're lucky. Well, we are less and less at church going or synagogue going, if you will, population. And at most, we maybe get access to youngsters for an hour or two a week, depending upon the religious activity that they're engaged in. But the public so-called schools, they've got these kids 30, 40 hours a week, and they hang on to them for 12 or 13 years and then really turn on the pressure when they get into the colleges and universities. We have to reverse this.
Yes, and I wanted to make comment on the toxic teachers, but I did want to start with a prayer.
Yes.
Where, for at this time, may the transcendent lights of Hanukkah and Christmas combine to illuminate and warm the hearts, minds, and souls of our beautiful brothers and sisters in the city of what once can again become a place for angels.
Amen.
And I wanted to talk about...
Yeah, that's a beautiful prayer, Brant. Thank you for that. And I think it's one that anyone can agree with. And, you know, I share your concern about Los Angeles. It was, and in so many ways, still is a great city. And the idea of leaving Los Angeles or Southern California, it's hateful to me.
Yes, and well, we've lost so much of our morals and our ethical bearings, and we have to retrieve that. And that's why I just wanted to call in and say I fully support the Los Angeles teacher strike.
Me too.
I don't want the door to hit them on the way out.
Right, exactly right.
To me, it feels like it's time to change the locks and bleach their employment records.
I love it, man. You're on a roll. Keep going, Brent. Hey, I know what. You want your own show. Go ahead. You got it. The microphone's yours.
No, you're always so gracious, and as I said before, you make me look good because you're just so outstanding with what you do and what you promote and what you allow.
Well, you're very kind to say so, Brent. But we got to have a little fun here, you know. And I was just having kind of a little bit of a debate with Jonathan. In fact, off the air, I invited him to join in, and he was saying, "Hey, look, you know, the real bad guys here are the teachers' unions. You know, it's not the teachers themselves." And I was kind of taking the other perspective, which is, you know, these are as a group. I don't think much of them, but be that as it may, if we have a free market choice, those who are good will separate themselves from that failed system and become even more highly valued, even more highly compensated teachers in a private system. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I think you're very right, and I think there are many fine teachers, but they keep their heads low. And if they speak out and they say what they truly believe, they'll be fired.
Yes.
So, in large part, I think the longer we keep the teachers away from our children, the safer they'll be.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't mean this just to be comical.
No.
I see them as an amoral, atheistic, bigoted, and child abusive, group of people. And I went to school over a half century ago in Los Angeles, and it was substandard then, but it wasn't, dangerous to be in. It just was a waste of time. And now the ideas and theories presented at LAUSD and Los Angeles and California, the progressive movement, the Democratic Party, this is just dangerous and child abuse, and it's time to get them out and start educating them in a real fashion.
Absolutely. Give the parents, the control, because I believe this, that it is, of course, a real civil rights issue, the right to an education. It's this idea of a right to education is something that almost everybody subscribes to, even libertarians. But, of course, libertarians, even if they might object to the idea of some personal right to an education at somebody else's expense, they are unified in agreeing with us that as long as we have the system, it ought to be subject to market forces, and it ought to maximize the amount of freedom that parents and even children have in pursuing an education. And I can't believe for a moment that the average working guy, whether his last name is Garcia, Jones, Navataki, or whatever, you come up, or Chen, I can't believe that those parents there are on the whole, are satisfied with it, and I can't believe that they won't vote with us to give them the power to make those choices in education.
Especially those groups of people.
Especially.
They've been most devastated, because I don't even know people who go to a public school anymore. Fortunately, I'm with an affluent enough group of people.
Yes.
They all send their children to private schools. But why shouldn't everybody, especially the poor and disadvantaged, not be allowed those opportunities?
That's right. Yeah, and we have out there so many schools that struggle. I could name parish after parish after parish in the Los Angeles Archdiocese that is ready, able, and willing to educate even more children in their parish, but can't do it because of money. Now, their tuitions are low, but even at low tuitions, these families can't afford it. And one of the reasons that they want to go to the local Catholic school is because it is just dangerous to go to the public school. Yeah. How did this get to be the case? And the idea, we were just talking about here earlier about how freely they throw this word racism around. Well, I refuse to accept that characterization. How come it is that conservatives and Republicans, how come it is that we're called racist and we're the ones who are most concerned about the situation in the poorer parts of town? Because we cannot survive as a society if the poorest among us are not getting an education that will equip them to participate fully in our in the economy of the future and to participate fully in our democracy. How can we go forward?
Well, we can't. And the reason they call everybody racist is because they have nothing else.
Right.
And these are pathological liars. There is no truth to such a claim. It's an absurdity, and it needs to be called as the lie and the absurdity and the deception that it is.
It sure as hell is. And when you look at this game that these guys play, they take their money. These so-called teacher unions, these places take all these dues, and they support candidates who advocate unlimited immigration. And the reason that they do it is for the same reason that they're objecting to. They claim to be the victims of higher class sizes, right? Not enough psychologists or counselors or anybody else. Too much work going on there, they say. As a matter of fact, illegal immigration rewards the public school unions because it means more revenue coming into their system. And I'll go back to Principia Politica number 1. The prime directive of all government is to grow itself. That's the first thing to do. Principia Politica number 2. Each and every public employee is a paid partisan political activist whose primary job is to help accomplish the prime directive of growing government. That's what they're there to do. And if you don't understand that, if you don't understand how illegal immigration benefits public employee unions, how more crime actually benefits public employees. They're there to justify even more officers on the street, higher pay. They're in more danger, don't you know? And at the same time, they're actively supporting politicians, and they're actively supporting policies which increase crime and lawlessness on the street. And they also, at the same time, demand a monopoly on force. Here in California, we call it the gun. So they don't want citizens to have guns, not only because they don't want citizens resisting them ultimately politically, but in the short term, they don't want citizens defending themselves or able to because they want they want to keep their monopoly on force. They want us to have to come to them for protection. If the average citizen is able to protect himself or herself without being subjected to a massive police investigation over the use of your weapon, well, then they're going to be discouraged from doing it. They'll be able to defend themselves. So it is a terrible, terrible cat-rat factory that they have going on, and we have to change it. And the way to change it is to focus our attention on the primary issue of getting our children back, because we can't take back our country, ladies and gentlemen, unless we first take back our children and take back half of the state budget. Let me tell you, when we do that, this country will change, because California will change, and because we are the most important state. In fact, we're the most important county in the most important state in the most important country in this world. What we do here, ladies and gentlemen, counts. And we're going to do it with Democrats. And I say that those are the small Ds. Those are the parents, families, and grandparents of these children who are stuck in this stupid system. We've got enormous support out there, so much so that our party designation is going to be absolutely meaningless. And I'll say, you start off talking about the priests, the ministers, and the rabbis. Hey, guys and gals, or some of you out there too, it's time to step up. Mm-hmm. Time to step up and get the children out of the system, and quit listening to those egg-sucking liberals and progressives who are beating us up. We do have common cause. I still don't like illegal immigration. I don't like what's happening in Washington. But the fact is I can agree, and even those who are most adamantly opposed to illegal immigration and these problems that we have here in this state, even we can agree that these children that are here are going to have to be educated so that we have a foundation for true assimilation into American society.
And just making a comment on the statement, illegal immigration.
Yes.
For many, many years, we tolerated and had no problem with illegal immigration. But we are no longer dealing with illegal immigration. We are dealing with invasion.
Thank you.
It's a very different orientation and policy
right.
of the kind of people who are becoming over now.
That's right. And we have an entire class of politicians who lies to us about these things. Mm-hmm. We send them to Washington, and those clowns back there, this is the constitutional crisis. We have people take an oath, they take our votes, they take our money, they go back there, and they were prepared to leave Washington without funding the wall. Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And yet so believable. So I have another one on top of lock her up, drain the swamp, build the wall. We're going to add a fourth chant. Shut it down. All right? And my only frustration is that there's only 15% of us shut down. I'm going to go for the rest. Brent, thank you for your call here tonight and your lovely prayer and sentiments. I share them entirely, and I look forward to speaking with you throughout the coming year.
Thank you.
All right.
The best.
Take care, you too. So anyway, great call with Brant and others who have been loyal listeners and callers. Gave us an opportunity to expand on many of these issues. But this is where, just to pick up the earlier discussion here, this is where the constitutional crisis comes in. They undermine the very basis for an agreement among people, divide us against each other to the point where it becomes radical and racist to argue for the rule of law at the same time that we are subjected by the LA County Sheriff, the IRS, the state of California, to unremitting enforcement of the laws. You just try being parked overtime 50. I got 4 minutes, okay? You just try being parked overtime someplace and see what those guys do you. That's how serious they are about the law. You're going to get fined, but yet you can walk across the border and sign up for hundreds, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of medical care without so much as a by your leave, sir. It's outrageous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, look.
Are we doing Grifter this week? What are we going to do?
We are not.
You know what? I actually would like to express my gratitude toward the public employees. It's the season of Christmas, and I'd like to give a warm thank you and a Merry Christmas to all the public employees.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. These guys.
I will say this, Mike.
Yeah.
I did spend some time with some public employees recently.
Yeah.
And they're not bad folks.
No.
Yeah.
No. Well, let's put it this way. We all know it is. It doesn't mean
they make our cities run, Mike.
Well, they do. Look, I've said many times that there are few miracles in this world, and I mean this. One of them is the dial tone. It is absolutely amazing, right, that we have a system that produces the dial tone or a cell signal, which permits you. It's always there.
Yeah.
The other modern miracle, a light switch. Mm-hmm. You hit that and light floods into your room. A reversal of hundreds of thousand years of human experience. We have light in our cave.
And running water. One thing I'm grateful for is a hot shower.
Yeah, and how about? And I'm not kidding here. I'm not trying to be funny here. A flushing toilet.
Yeah,
remarkable. And somewhere inside these organizations, hidden among all the government grifters and hustlers and con artists, are the adults that actually keep our power system on, and they don't let any of the idiots touch it, right? All the true morons in government are marginalized, and Americans, real Americans, run our power systems, our roads, our traffic lights, all those other things. These people that supervise, recycling coordinators.
Yeah. So with that said, Mike, can Radio Free Los Angeles be kinder and gentler in the new year?
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Merry Christmas. Okay. All right. You guys make this show possible. So, hey, thanks be to God. God bless America. God bless everyone here at the station. One of my favorite expressions, libs use it, but I'll share it. God bless everyone. No exceptions. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you here next Sunday night on Radio Free Los Angeles. Have a good time.